Introducing the reigning, defending, inside fighting host, Robby Clark.
All right, guys, we have Cynthia Calvillo on right now. We are talking to an all-star right now. I was super pumped when she started her entry into the UFC. She's got a 6-2-1 record, and yeah, Cynthia. So thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
So I'm just going to start at the beginning of your UFC career with your first fight with Amanda Cooper. You had a ton of hype going into into the UFC, and do you feel like that really motivated you when you first got started, or what was your initial reaction to getting the first call to starting the UFC?
I mean, honestly, I didn't believe it, just because I felt like I still needed a little bit more time. At the time when I got called for that fight, I was only 6 months of being a professional and had 3 fights. So essentially, pretty much my whole professional career has been in the UFC, which some people don't realize how. Although I trained a lot before then, just starting my professional career was very short when I got in. So I was thinking I might have to get a couple fights before, they get eyes on me. But being able to get on LFA, which was, they're a UFC feeder. They got a lot of eyes on there. I just thought maybe, have a couple fights in there and they might see me. But, I caught their eye right away after I beat Montana De La Rosa. And LFA, and then they called me on a 2 weeks notice to fight Amanda Bobby Cooper. So it was just nuts. I was just kind of there, like living paycheck to paycheck, just trying to figure things out, and it's kind of, you're following this dream, not really knowing what's going to happen. It's not like you have like a timeline of when, if you get this done, you're going to get the call and here comes the next level, and you just kind of got to be ready when that time comes. So man, it was amazing. I definitely could say that I probably had one of the best rookie years in the UFC that any rookie UFC fighter has ever had.
Yeah. Now, what do you think that led to? Like, was obviously you got an infectious energy and you're great on the mic. Do you think that had a lot to do with you coming in? You're an exciting fighter, but like you said, I think you had 2 or 3 professional fights when you got the call up. So it was, obviously, you proved yourself and you've continued to, right? But what do you think led to that initial call?
I'm just a grinder. I think my biggest talent is that I'm a hard worker. It's not because I was, this great athlete growing up. I didn't do any sports before. I don't know. This is what I wanted to do. It's kind of gave me purpose, and like fighting makes me really happy, and I like working hard, and I just knew the time was going to come at some point. Especially when I was, when I started my professional career, I was with Team Alpha Male, and everybody knows who trains with them. And so I feel like that helped out a lot, obviously, being on that team and being able to be next to some of the best fighters in the world. So yeah, just a little bit of everything. Also, just the way that I grew up, my grittiness and my attitude of like, I'm not going to back down. And, so definitely all of that all together, being able to train with a great team, being able to have a good mindset, coming from my parents from Mexico with the work ethic, and also growing up where I grew up in East Side San Jose of Northern California. And yeah, we got a little bit of a chip on our shoulder, so never back down.
I was actually going to touch on that later, but you got into it with Team Alpha Male. Obviously, so many, especially of the lighter weight fighters, start training there, and then they might branch off or whatnot. But it seems like that's such an incredible base. I'm sure that helped, lead to just growing and maturing in the sport quickly. And I think you continue to train with Justin Buckles from there, right? Do you still train? You guys still training together?
No, unfortunately we're not. I was hoping to, when I had left the team and he had like left to go do his own thing, I was going to follow him and stuff, but ended up working out, and unfortunately it's like, I need a team that's already set there to, continue to train at the highest level. And I feel like with him having opened a brand new gym, there's still a lot of development that needed to happen to have a professional team. Although he's a great coach, and I'm sure later on, the team that he creates and the fighters that he brings up are probably going to be one of the best ever. But at the time being of where I'm in my career, I really needed to make the decision of to be where I need to be to continue fighting at the highest level.
Yeah, absolutely.
Team up definitely had a lot of help, so but it comes in time where things needed to change. And I feel like once I felt like I had grown in, I was going to follow another place that didn't work out. And
yeah, you're at the place now where you got to have that team around you. And Justin, I always thought, like he did such a good job with the fighters there. You can see he really cared about a lot of the fighters there, and he had a good framework to work with. Uriah's built that company over a long time, right? So I see what you mean. When you're starting something new, there's other developments that you got to do to give that same attention, right, to all the fighters. So that's cool. So you have that now, right, where the team is set up around you, and it's Cynthia's world getting ready for a fight.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty about being over here in Las Vegas. I'm now here in Las Vegas, and having the UFCPI. I mean, them themselves have like a whole team in there that are helping us with our nutrition, with our strength and conditioning, with our physical therapy, even sports psychology. So, and they're all talking to each other. So it's very important. Everything's specialized to every fighter, individual fighter. And then on top of that, there's a lot of great gyms out here, a lot of training partners. Since Vegas is the fight capital of the world, you're gonna have a lot of people here. And I feel like during COVID times, a lot of people came here too, because it was like probably a little bit more open, and the UFC PI was still going as long as you were getting tested every week. So it just definitely feels like I just have a whole team of people that are helping me and making sure that I'm advancing and that I continue to perform at the highest level. There's this Stream Couture out here. There's 10th Planet with Coach Casey, and my striking coach right now, which is one of the best striking coaches out here in Las Vegas, Coach Jimmy Gifford. He works with a lot of fighters out here, a ton of fighters. So definitely found a good place here in Las Vegas. I feel great. I'm excited to follow through with this next chapter of my life, being here in Las Vegas. So I feel really good.
No, it's funny. I see like fighters. I find a lot of the female fighters, like I guess you're training there, JoJo, Jessica Ibe, in your weight class, all at the PI Institute, and it's really cool. You guys are taking advantage of that because it's I feel like obviously they've got the most advanced people, whether it's science based or anything there of anything. So it's nice to see you taking advantage of that. Do you find it weird showing up and then seeing your competitors there? Is there some are like it's fine, other times a little bit of friction maybe, or how is that seeing them around the gym from time to time?
For the most part, like I'm good with it. I can't say so much about other fighters. Other fighters have had issues like being around each other. They're not allowed to be around the certain times or whatever. But I get along with everybody. I feel like I might give like a different kind of attitude at first. A lot of the girls, when especially if they're gonna fight me or they're in their weight class, they assume I'm a different kind of person. They assume that I'm just like this, like always just mean, like some kind of attitude and stuff. But I'm probably the nicest, more chillest person. Besides when I'm getting to fight, that's a whole different story. So like when it comes to training, I'm very serious about my training, and I hold myself to a certain level, and so I always strive to be the best. But I don't really get to train with these girls. JoJo is at Syndicate, which they have a great team of girls there, and a lot of people were like, maybe you should go there because that's where they have all the girls. But I see a lot of competition there, and so I'm like, nah, I'm trying to fight these girls. So it's like we can be cool. I'll see you at the PI, or whatever. But I still want to fight you. Like for me, this is business. It's a competitive sport. I'm super competitive, and I'm just trying to be the best at my job. So it's awesome, but I'm definitely pretty chill. Like we all just joke around there when we see each other at the PI, so it's nice.
Yeah. Now, and I know that obviously you've got you grew up in the UFC and yet you still you have a 6-2 record, and both of those losses were very competitive. Like your last one against Caitlin, did you take anything away from that fight or anything? You're like, oh, I wish I could have done this going in, or what were your thoughts after that fight?
I mean, honestly, there was a lot of things. It was very frustrating for me this last year, and I know for a lot of fighters, especially through COVID. I was really trying to find my place, and previously before fighting Caitlin, I had just decided to move there to Vegas, and mainly because I had a shoulder injury that required constant maintenance in order for me to get through these fight camps, which is why I was at the PI. And I was scheduled to fight Lauren Murphy. So I had already was in camp, was supposed to set to fight her in Abu Dhabi, was about to board the plane to go when boom, they told me, hey, you tested positive for COVID. You're not going anywhere. And so I, of course, was devastated because I just wanted to fight. I feel like I've been not as active as I'd wanted to be in this last couple of years. And so I'm the type of person that it's going to take a lot for me to pull out of a fight. And I was in this situation where maybe I shouldn't have or should have, but my part is I wanted to fight. And so Mick was like, hey, do I know you just got over COVID, but you want to fight in 2 weeks? And I wanted to fight Lauren again, and Lauren said no. So then Caitlin took the fight. So then I had to fight Caitlin, in 2 weeks notice. And camp and everything that was going on probably wasn't the best, but I've gone away with like having to deal with injuries before. So it's kind of one of those gambles you take as a fighter. The only thing I can say is like, I really want that fight back again. I just feel like there was a lot of things going on before there, and I just kind of went in there, and in my head, I was kind of almost looking past the fight because I already knew that I needed to fix some injuries and really get established here. I had just got moved. I was in the middle of moving while I was getting ready for a fight for Caitlin too, and so there was a lot of things going on, and ultimately I take full responsibility for that. It's my decision to take it. There's no excuses about that. She won fair and square. She was a better fighter that day, but I definitely want that fight back. I feel like it's going to be a different story next time around. Now that I have a solid team behind me, I'm already settled here in Vegas. My injuries, I feel stronger than I ever have been before, just because I just got my shoulder surgery. I had a lot done to it. So I'm excited. I'm excited to go in there and, be a new and better and improved fighter. So that's the one thing that I would take with, gets with Caitlin, is that I'm going to have a better mindset in there. And, you just kind of have to take care, maybe make better decisions. I mean, but honestly, I don't know if I would have still not taken that fight. I'm just that type of person, I don't shy away from taking it. It's going to take a lot for me, not taking a fight, even if I'm injured. If I'm good at hiding an injury, like chances are that I might take the fight because I just hate pulling out of fights. I hate it. So, yeah, but I'm definitely a lot better. So I just got to be a little bit smarter about certain things that I do during camp.
Yeah. Now, not to touch too much on COVID, but you did bring it up there, and I think it is. I wanted to ask you, like, your recovery from that. I know a lot of fighters and different people, they reacted differently to it. Some have lingering effects for a long time. Did you feel that? I know it's, obviously you tested positive. You didn't know prior, but did you feel it after? And how were the lingering effects from that?
I didn't feel too bad, but I definitely felt fatigue. I definitely felt like whenever I tried to go for a run, I was a lot tired, I would say, to be honest, after coming back from COVID and I got that line booked up with Caitlin, uh, the first sparring session, the first round, I actually injured my finger, which is a dumb injury too, but I injured my finger and I couldn't spar. So I couldn't ever really push the pace throughout that whole fight camp. I just needed to get to the fight. So I never really got to see if COVID really affect me once I start going a little bit harder, which is why I feel like even in the fight, I wasn't even able to be a dog and wrestle because I just had a lot of things that were lingering, but I was just stubborn. Like I wasn't gonna like call Mick. I was like, okay, I took the fight, but now I'm injured again. So I got COVID, but I'm injured again. So I can't, and I don't know. I feel like the UFC's been really good to me, but I've also feel like if you get injured and things happen, even if it's out of your control, they might put you on the sidelines. And I was afraid of that. And, I just wanted to follow through. So I don't know how much it really affected my lungs or not, because I didn't really get to push as hard as I could. I was kind of dealing with some injuries and I just wanted to get to the fight and get through the fight. And I was just kind of hoping that, once I get into the fight, I wasn't going to feel anything and I was just going to go. Because normally that's what happens. You don't really feel the pain as much when you're in there because of the adrenaline. So I was counting on that, but I didn't really get to that level. So I couldn't really say how much COVID has affected me, but I know that it has affected other fighters, as far as their lungs and just kind of feeling back to their normal self. So, yeah, but I'm not too sure, how bad it affected me, but the first couple of days definitely were hard.
Yeah, but you feel 100% now. You're back in training right now, and I don't see you. Do you have a fight you're scheduled or?
Not yet. So I've just barely got cleared to begin training and amping it up. So this entire time I've been really careful. I've got. Sorry.
No, bring it in.
Guys, stop! No.
Oh, how old are they?
6 years and 7 months, and for whatever reason, every time I do interviews, come on down there, guys. My older dog always tries to escape from the 7-month-old, so that's what he's doing right now. He's trying to get away from the puppy, but guys.
Yeah, that tends to be the case with the puppies, and yeah.
But so I in December, I'm about 5 months post-op for my shoulder surgery. I had a labrum, rotator cuff, bicep tendon. I had arthritis in there, burn spur, bone spur. So went in there and cleaned it up, and so it definitely took a long time. I've just been fully focused on physical therapy and just doing a lot of technique, a lot of jujitsu technique. Whatever I can do, I just I try to level up. And then just recently I went to the doctor, so they cleared me to start beginning hard training so we can start amping it up in these next 2 months and hopefully line up a fight soon. I'm thinking maybe August or September. But that's what the time looks like. And it's mainly because I was consistent with my physical therapy. Otherwise, I'd probably be a longer layoff. Sometimes you're out for about 9 months.
Now, was there any, I'm not sure if it would apply, but you're the PI Institute, so I know it'd be, the top of everything there. Were they doing any stem cells or anything cool and special that, didn't exist 15 years ago?
I've actually, in the last 2 years, because I've been dealing with shoulder injuries for 2 years, and over time it just gotten worse. But I first started with PRP. So I got PRP right after Courtney case, the court covered from that, and then I went back in, and then still did another year, still kept having issues. After the Jessica I fight, I got stem cell on my shoulder, and so that was last year in July. And then I continued. I went into another fight camp, hoping that the stem cell would help. Still having issues, still requiring maintenance. I was like, all right, well, I can get through this fight camp with Lauren and fight, and then I'll get surgery. So yeah, so basically it's been over time, but I would say that, all the cool stuff that they have in there, which they do, like, I'd go PRP or stem cell, but that's like with other doctors. But at the PI, they have a lot of cool machines. They have this shockwave, which they like shock you, I guess, in whatever area, and it creates it helps you heal faster. And yes, they stab little needles into your muscles and connect it with these wires, and they shock your muscles, and definitely different stuff that I've ever encountered before. So it's really cool. They definitely have some of the top equipment, and not only the top, doctors there that are helping us out. So very cool. And it makes me feel like super professional, just because, fighting is always, especially when I first started, there wasn't any women in the UFC. The sport wasn't taken as serious as it has been. Now we're on ESPN and we're being respected as, real athletes. So it's great to receive that kind of treatment.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's the one thing I say though, and it's and it's an evolving sport, and obviously the pay does go up over time, and UFC's run a little bit differently, more similar to like a WWE than it is like the NFL or a franchise model like that way. But that's the one cool thing I say about UFC in comparison to other sports, like in female sports like the WNBA and things like that. Honestly, the UFC fights are just as exciting, and arguably sometimes more exciting with the female fighters than they are and the male fighters. And I'm not going to pick one or the other, but I'll be honest, from my perspective, I don't watch any other female sports, and I love female mixed martial arts just as much as I love male mixed martial arts too. And it's crazy that that's the one sport, like you would think, okay, not to be weird about it, but like the most masculine of sports, and yet it's just as exciting on both sides. And I think that, like, that's across the board. I think it's only, some people, I don't want to see girls fight. Well, then they don't watch fighting, right? They're not really the fans who have been there or have seen it for a long time. And that's been the one thing that always surprised me when it first came in. I remember Dana saying, we'd never have female fighters, right? And then he brought female fighters in, and it blew up, and everybody loved it. So yeah, I know what you're saying, but I do I bring that up a lot with the new people or people that don't really watch UFC or mixed martial arts yet, that it's just as exciting to watch the females fight as it is the males, and arguably more exciting depending on who's fighting too, right? So now I know you said Jessica I, which is a great win you had over Jessica I. Before that, you had a draw with Marina Rodriguez, who looked. She's looked almost, with the exception of fighting you, almost unstoppable. And Michelle Watterson showed obviously so much heart in her last fight and technique. Like they just both look so good in that fight. Do you get confidence from seeing that in your performance? And are there things, again, would you like to have that one back? Or, it obviously lets you know that you're a top contender at any, given night. You can fight the best in the world as well. So what did you take from that fight?
I mean, I want that fight so bad too, man, it was such a close fight. I think like either on both ends. I think the first one was close. The second round, she got me in a good body shot. Definitely felt it. But I was able to like pull through that round. And the third round, man, I felt like they could have almost like stopped it, you know. And so I definitely want that fight. I did ask her for a rematch like shortly after the fight, and you guys stop. And she did not want to take it. I definitely want that fight with Marina back. I think I did ask for her to fight me, and she's like, "No, I want to fight somebody who makes weight." And I back to Marina. I definitely wanted to get that fight offered. I was like, "Hey, can we fight?" I was like, "How about this? I promise I'll show up at 115. You show up at 125. If I don't make 115, you can take my whole purse." That's what I told her, and they nope. So they didn't want it back, and I think I really do believe she understands that like what I'm capable of doing to her if I take her down to the ground, and I really want that fight back. That's probably one of the only fights I would go down to 115 just so I can get it back. It was really frustrating, that draw. It's like the one and only draw I've ever had ever. So I want to make it right. And, she's one of the best and top contenders. And I do believe she's definitely going to get that title shot soon. And I think she's going to do a great job. So a lot of people don't know this about her, but she's got a pretty extensive judo. A lot of people were talking about her starting late. Maybe she started an MMA late, but she's been an athlete her entire life. And so even so, if people think they're just going to be able to take her down, it's not that easy to just take her down. She's got really great judo.
Good hips. Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to see a 5-round fight there as well too, as I'm sure you would have liked on that one. But hopefully the next one. I mean, you guys are both up there, and like you had a close fight with Caitlin. No excuses aside, close fight with Caitlin, but she just fought for the belt too, right? So I mean, you guys are all right there. So maybe the next one will be a 5-rounder. Now, there's 2 other fights that didn't come together with Claudia Godelia and the Shevchenko sister. And 2 of those, are those either ones that you would like to I guess have back? I mean, I know you're at 125 now for a bit, but you see you can fluctuate. You're not a big 125er, right? So yes.
I'm kind of like in the middle. Like it is really hard for me to make 115, and it always comes down to the 1 or 2 pounds. But then at 125, it's really easy for me to make. But we'll see how it goes. I've actually been putting up a lot more size with like doing a lot more weights there at the PI. So we've been all been working together to make sure to make me a solid 125er. It's really hard, me changing my mind from wanting to fuel to make weight versus making fuel to perform. And that's the difference between 115 and 125. I can fuel either to make weight and feel like crap, or I can fuel to perform and go in there and just like, be completely confident that I can push the pace and not worry about the weight cut affecting me. So Claudia, I see her around. She trains here. We actually train at Extreme Couture. I've moved around with her a little bit. I'm not sure if she would ever want to fight me. I'm just, I think once we train together, she'll realize that I'm a little bit probably bigger than her, and she probably wouldn't fight me. I like her a lot, but I don't think she'd want that. And then for Shevchenko, yeah, I'm always open to it. She's going to be a part of the division. We'll see what she does. She's got a really tough fight against, Andrew KGB this upcoming weekend. So, it's striker versus striker. We always kind of see she doesn't really do too good against grapplers. So if she comes up around and she's in that ranking and she keeps winning her fights, then for sure I'm open to fighting, Antonina. But my eyes have always been on the prize, which is I want that champ fight. And, hopefully whenever I get my shot, Valentina's still around. I don't want to be like, oh, I can't wait till Valentina leaves the division so we all get a shot. It's not that way. Like I'm excited. I'm almost excited that, they don't give anybody out. Like she's so dominant that they're not really giving anybody a chance, against her. So it motivates me because I feel like I'm still young in the game. I shot up pretty quickly, and like I said, pretty much my whole professional career has been the UFC. So I have so much more to learn, so much more to get better. And I'm capable of beating, any person that they put in front of me. 100%.
Yeah, that's the thing. And you never really you haven't taken any damage, right? Like any serious damage, you know what I mean? And so, and that has a lot to do with the longevity, but also the amount of time that you've been training. There's kind of like an 8 to 10 year window I find where, in any sport, right? Like if you were training at basketball or something when you're 4 years old, okay, you're probably going to peak between that 28 to 32 range, right? But like with you, like you said, you're like third or fourth fight, you're in the UFC already. It's like you're maturing as you grow there, you're getting better as you go. And yeah, you've not taken any damage. You're in the PI Institute. You beat Jessica I, who also fought for the belt before that. And I think a lot of people want to see that too because, Caitlin's amazing, but style-wise, you're like, okay, she's going to walk into a firefight with, Shevchenko. And that was a good fight, too. Jessica Andrade, we thought might be good there as well, too. But that was a tough one too. Shevchenko came out and then showed, hey, I'm gonna wrestle the wrestler, right? So that was an interesting one as well. What is your walk around weight right now, and what do you typically fight at between 115 and 125?
When I was fighting at 115, I would walk around between 130 and 135. Right now that I'm not fully at my full training, we're barely going to start ramping it up little by little. I'm at about 140, 139. And I'm pretty sure that once I get my full schedule going and I'm in camp, I'll probably be walking about 135. So it's not that much of a big difference, probably from 115. It's only a 5-pound difference that I'm walking around, whether I was going to be fighting at 115 or 125. When I first got into the UFC, there was no 125. So I had to cut to 115. And so we just keep doing it. And I did it 4 or 5 times, I think ultimately I try to cut 7 times I try to cut to 115 and 2 of those I missed. So after that, I was just kind of like, and it's hard, man. The embarrassment too, with that comes with that. It's just so hard. And a lot of people don't understand unless they're in the sport, what it takes. And especially being caught in that middle spot. You always hear like, the men's division always calling for a 160 or 165 because jumping from 155 to 170, So it's hard, man. It's always down to one of those 1 or 2 pounds that are really tough. So it's not that huge of a difference that I'm walking around, but I'm okay with that because I like being able to have the speed, the athleticism compared to a lot of the 125ers. I think Valentina's the only other one that pretty much walks around pretty close to the fight weight too as well. For her it'd be really difficult to make 115. Wouldn't pass it if she could make it, but it'd probably kill her to make 115. And then 135 is obviously smaller. So yeah, I just feel like it's a lot healthier for me to 125. I think a lot of fighters should actually hopefully start moving, start fueling for performance and not for weight cuts, just to help for longevity and, for our future after fighting, because it's hard, man. Our bodies go through so much, and especially us women, like it was really tough for me to make 115, so I'm happy to be here at 125, and hopefully I can, do some great things, and I have plenty of time. Allow me to fight for a lot longer if I stay at 125.
Yeah, and you brought 2 things to my mind there. I mean, number one is that like I've been on Sherdog probably far too long, well over a decade. I've got a black belt on the forums there, right? But one of the things you hear a lot is these guys, these internet, trolls, and I've trained a lot in the past, but I've never had to cut weight, right? But I've been in the sauna for too long and had, throbbing headaches and that. And a lot of fighters are like, oh, you got the fight before the fight. And I don't think people realize how difficult it is, to cut weight in general. And the females is much more difficult to cut weight than the men. I mean, some of the men are like, maybe at times irresponsible when you're 210 trying to cut to 170, maybe don't balloon up to 210 pounds. But at the same time, it's like, to the fact that you see it time and time again, they're like, oh, I just won the first fight. And it's a weight cut before the fight. It's tough because we have a wrestling culture, like, in North America, and there's so much cutting weight involved. And then, the gaps, like you said, there's no 3 pounds, 5 pounds. You got the 55 to 70, or you got the 85 to 205. You get Weidman, who, maybe cuts a lot of weight to get to 85. Then at 205, you're like, he's not big enough for 205, right? So those gaps make a big difference. A good point. I think it's good to touch on that because it's you like to see fighters fresh, and you're fighting better at 130, 35, and it's like the same day weigh-ins, but it's Would you prefer that same day weigh-ins?
No,
Okay.
no, not at all. I mean, just because being able to walk around at that exact number and always like hold on to that scale, like I feel like you're always gonna have to cut some kind of weight. And I feel like even if it's a pound or two, I mean, why even put through your body through that the day of your fight? Even like, when people are like really badly dehydrating themselves to make weight, it takes about 24 hours to get that fluid back to your brain, and then you're gonna go get punched in the head, so you definitely don't want to do the same day. I'm okay with doing it the day before, especially with these weight cuts, how they go. Um, but yeah, I think it's hopefully, a lot of women are coming up. A lot of people are making the changes. I just recently, I think that Tiana just came out that if she does come back after recovering from her injury, she's going to go up to 125. Macy Barber, she tried 115, she went to 125. Alexa Grasso, 125, and even like Tracy Cortez, who's at 135, she's trying to move up 125. So I think a lot of people are making smarter choices. They're bringing a lot of the fighters, especially fighters that have been having issues with like weight, bringing them into the PI, doing a lot of testing, and ultimately making the smarter and healthier choice, which is what ended up happening with me too after I missed weight with Marina. They're like, hey, come down to the PI, be here for about a week. We'll run some tests and see where you're at and see what the best decision is. They're not going to forcefully tell me that this is what you need to do, but this is the best advice that they're going to give me based on, all the testing and the results and all the information they gathered up. So times are changing, as far as we're getting smarter and making hopefully better decisions. And, the sport is just growing rapidly. It's just definitely becoming one of the biggest, if not the biggest sport in the world right now, especially with how the UFC took on COVID. We were definitely like just out there. We didn't even care. Dana's like, we're out maybe for 2 months, but we're back, baby.
Dane is a man. He's crazy, man. I attended my first event in 2002. I was like 14, 15 years old, and he's just crazy. He's been the pioneer there. He's done an incredible job, as everybody has too. He's built an incredible business. So PI Institutes, all that. All right, I wanted to finish it off with some fun questions. So one of them I wanted to ask: what is your favorite cheat meal, like after a fight or in general, whatever? What are you eating after you get your win?
Pizza and gummy bears. And not necessarily in that order.
Yeah. What type of pizza?
Pepperoni and jalapenos.
Pepperoni, nice.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna get some spicy in there. I like pizza a lot, and I definitely, even though I could probably eat it through at 125, I could probably eat it through my fight camp and still make weight. It's just the principle of it. I was like, I'm not trying to really eat any of that stuff. I was like, I gotta save it until after the fight. So it's always good to save it for reward. Food always tastes better when you deprive yourself from it.
100%. Anything you do. Yeah, that's 100%. I agree with that. What is your biggest pet peeve in training? Either something that you hate doing or something that annoys you if you're training partners, things like that.
Velcro scratches. So if you don't tape up your MMA gloves and we train and then I'm scraped up and then I gotta go take showers and it's burning, and so sometimes you get scraped along your face. So definitely Velcro scratches are like they're annoying. And if gear too, if I'm sparring and my shins move out of place or I have to readjust, that makes me really upset because I feel like some fighters do use it as a break to get a little bit of wind if they're tired in the round. But for me, I'm like, I want to make my training as realistic as possible as in a fight, because you're not gonna, unless the ref tells you you can readjust your mouthpiece or something. But other than that, I probably say that, yeah. Gear, man, just take care of your gear.
Yeah, that's so funny. I've never heard that before, and that's so true. And with you, like a workhorse, that's why I say almost every one of your fights should be a 5-round main event, because that's you just go, right? So that would make sense. When you're one of those, you're like, no, don't tie up, let's go, right? So yeah, that's pretty funny.
Make sure you're prepared, before you go in there. You gotta have your tape, your Vaseline, everything, because you're not gonna get those breaks in the fight. So I need my training to be as close as possible to the fight.
Yeah, fighters be warned. No breaks. Be prepared when sparring with Cynthia. So that's a good one to keep in mind. What motivates you? What is your driving force? I know you said your parents and their work ethic there. What do you do this for?
Self purpose and stuff. Like, just growing up, I would say I was probably not the most confident person. And especially culturally wise, as far as like how women are treated, and always kind of in the shadow of like men. And I don't know, I just, it was just weird when I first started. I wasn't probably in the best place in my life, physically and mentally. And this gave me power for myself. It allowed me to be the hero of my own story. And that's why I do it, because there's nothing else in the world that makes me feel this good about myself is, fighting. I literally get to go out there and fight for myself and my family. And that makes me feel really good. And I want to be able to inspire a lot of women who started late, or even just general, even men too. It's never too late. You don't have to be an athlete your entire life. If you really have the heart for it and you want to fight for something, you can do it. And I'm definitely proof of that. I've never done any sport before I started. I started late at 23, and had my first fight at 24. And I just kept going. I never stopped. As much as the odds were against me, as much as I would, some of the people I would look up to, and I don't really want to say any names, but people that I looked up to that were in the sport, that told me that I wasn't going to make it because I started too late, because I'm too old, and that I'm not going to be able to do it. And I said, no, absolutely not. I'm going to do it, and you're going to watch. And surely enough, I've been able to slap a lot of people in the face with my success. So I want to continue to do that.
Yeah, so from being in the shadows of Ben to being able to beat up men. So that's and hey, listen, you're a different breed at 23 to start that as well, too. But you're right about mindset. That's a big thing that I think people can take from that. If you have the right mindset, you can accomplish almost anything. I say that a lot. Sometimes you do have a certain window in athletics, but if you can convince yourself you're right, if you can convince you're right, and you get enough haters and you feed off those haters, you're living proof of it. Look what you're doing right now, right?
So, the ups and downs, anytime I'd face adversity, man, I've come back so much harder. So I'm excited even for these last couple years where I've kind of been a little bit rocky, me sitting out this year, and so I'm excited. I'm excited for what I'm about to produce with, all this inspiration and motivation that I have behind me, especially because now I'm getting counted out. In my opinion, that's kind of where I'm kind of getting the feel out, especially after missing weight a couple times, and people are harsh. They come at you really hard. And the first year, everybody was like, yeah, dang, who's this girl? I just kind of blew out the water. Dana was calling me the next Ronda Rousey, and then I just go down. And once you hit a little bit, some adversity in the journey, people start, jumping off the train and, start going the other way. And so I'm excited. I'm excited for these next couple of years and what I'm gonna do in this sport.
No, I'm excited for you. And now, wait, now, so outside of fighting, what is your favorite hobby outside of fighting? You're in Vegas now, so you can do anything you want. What is your favorite thing to do outside of fighting?
Vegas definitely can get wild if you get lost, out in the strip and stuff, the party scene. But I'm pretty good of being able to like find other things outside of that. So I found the other side of Vegas. Been going to the mountains in Mount Charleston. I love to paddleboard. I like hiking. I like kind of disconnecting from everything, And so me and my dogs, it's basically just me and my dogs, and we just go out on adventures whenever we get a chance. And I like a lot of calm and peace. So I'm very relaxed. I try to be outside of fighting because all of my energy goes into training and, all the time, literally from the time that I get up, I start jits at 6 a.m. Then I have another training session at 9. Then I have another training session at 1. And then I PT. And then I got jujitsu again at 6. And then I'm home by 8 p.m., or 8:30. And then I go to bed. So it's all day, and I just come in between sessions. I hang out with my dogs. I take them out. So outside of fighting, I try to keep everything as simple as possible, just nature, calm, breathe, regain, recharge, so I can go in there and throw everything on the mat.
It's amazing. Last question I'll ask you is any fighter in particular? I know Lauren Murphy, you said, well, who would you like to fight next? I know you said August, September, I think, right?
I'm in my eyes, what I'm seeing right now, especially with the trajectory of fighters that are currently happening right now with, Caitlin fighting this weekend, and Jojo and Lauren fighting. I'm assuming that the winner of Lauren and Jojo, either one of them is going to get the next title shot. I'm trying to see who else is like coming up. I think that if Vivian Arahu beats Caitlin, she's definitely going to be right up there next in line. The only other person that I can think of right now that is top 5, you know, is Jessica Andrade. She's the only one that just fought, and she's in top five. And I think by the time that it comes up, she might be a good matchup. And that's only because I'm like looking to always fight somebody who's higher ranked for me, right? Higher ranked than me. And her also being a previous champ. I just want to fight the best. So whoever's up there and is available, I'm always trying to see who's in the top five and who doesn't have a fight. So she just fought, and I feel like she's probably the next one that would be ready to fight around that time frame. But we'll see if Jennifer Maya wins against Jessica. That's another one too, because they had asked me too if I wanted to fight Jennifer Maya, but I wasn't going to be ready for July or June, which is when she's fighting Jessica. So those are the eyes that I probably have: Jennifer Maya, Jessica Andrade, maybe Vivian Arahu. I definitely want that Caitlyn fight again. So we'll see. But there's a lot of girls that are coming up, and it's pretty exciting, man. This one flyweight division is just getting so much better. At first, it was empty. It wasn't that exciting, probably really easy to get to the title, but it's shaping up really nicely. We got some really great girls in here, so I'm stoked. But that's who I have my eyes on right now. So either Jessica Andrade. I don't think Jennifer Maya will want to fight in August if she fights in June, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Whoever is up there.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like 125. It's a long time coming, but that seems to quickly be becoming the most competitive one. 135. You got to be a little taller and bigger, just like the normal size of the women. And 125 seems to be quickly shaping up. Like you said, a lot of those 115 pounders are like, you know what, they hit 23, 24, 25 plus. Like you can't. I don't know how 115. That's for most regular people, that's a high school weight, right? Like it's tough to keep that if even. Maybe grade school. So 125, I think, is a really solid competitive weight. Like you would say, like a 170, 185, although, male weight classes are all stacked too, but I see what you're saying there on 125. And I like that you said Andrade too. That's a good one as well too. I didn't think about that, but Andrade, like, obviously she's been champion, fought for the belt, really close split decision with Rose. And then, Shevchenko, that was a tough fight, obviously, but it's Shevchenko as well too. And I feel like you're already there. You said there's a lot of people coming in, but you're one win away from a title shot. There's only a few names that you could actually throw in there. So it's like, who would be the best? I was thinking Jessica Andrade. Yeah, she, TKO lost there, but she wasn't knocked out. So if she has, I don't know how long her suspension's for, but I think, I don't know, Sean Shelby, Hunter, whoever you get a call from, like, that would be an awesome fight to see in August or September. You two, I'd be excited for that one for sure.
And they know the matchmakers know I don't shy away from any fights. At any time somebody doesn't want to fight someone, I'm the first one to jump at it. Always have been that way. And I think that's why the UFC has been so good to me too, because they can always call me, and rest assured that unless I'm literally injured and I cannot step into that cage is the only reason why I cannot fight, then that's the only reason. But other than that, I'm always calling them top dogs. When I was in the strawweight division and everybody was like, nobody wants to fight Tatiana. I won my fight. I went on the mic and I called her out. I, hit up Dana. I was like, I want to fight her. Nobody wants that. And then Dana was like, I might give it to her, but then they offered me to fight like a month after, and I had gotten my shoulder PRP. So this shoulder has always been a problem for me, but now it's not. So actually I was getting better in my left. But I don't shy away. Even last year in COVID, when I was set to fight Antonina and COVID canceled our fight, once I got into the gym and I was in the gym for literally only 2 weeks, I was like, man, I need a fight. I see all the flyweights have fights right now. Who doesn't have a fight? Jessica. She happens to be the number one contender. Let's go for it. And at that time I was number 11 as a straw weight, and so I call her out, and sure enough, Mick's like, yeah, she's open. You want to, main event 2 weeks, let's go, So, I always, I want the best opportunities. I'm not going to shy from it. There's never going to be a perfect timing, and then also with my age, I'm just here to build a legacy. Even if I get that title shot or that title and I become a champion, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to stop until the wheels fall off, until I can't fight no more. And, I just can't. That's what I'm going for. I want to be remembered for one of the best. I don't want to just get the chance. I want the ultimate. I want to be the champion, but that's not the only thing I want to do. I want to have I want to fight everybody. I hope I get to fight as many people as I can.
Well, listen, you tried to fight with coronavirus, and you take fights whatever you're called upon, and like I said, nobody's ever going to question your heart. That's for sure. You're probably the least experienced, most accomplished person coming into the UFC. Honestly, and I say that because I can't think of many people who have, with that short of a window in training, who have accomplished what you accomplished. Right. So, you know, keep it up. I'm pumped to see your next fight. I want to thank you for joining us, and let's hope. I mean, I'm sure the next fight will be great, but Jessica Andrade. August, September, I think that'd be a really nice setup and a super exciting fight. You guys got a great comparable style matchup. It'd be a really fun one to see. So,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you for having me on. It was definitely a fun interview. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll see you again soon. Thank you.
You guys have a good one. Bye.